Earlier tonight in the Bronx, Aaron Judge into the history books as he reaches 60 off Will Crowe in the ninth inning, which helped propel a huge comeback. Yankees winner on a walk-off grand slam from Giancarlo Stanton. He's the first player in the majors to reach 60 in a season since Barry Bonds, and the third Yankee to reach that number. Man, you talk about joining Babe Ruth and Roger Maris. That's some perspective that's pretty crazy. Aaron Boone knows a thing or two about that.
It's been awesome to watch him go to this level of player. He's obviously an elite talent, all-star level player, but I think the great ones continue to evolve and grow and learn from their experiences, and that's what I've got to witness.
Just 60 home runs is just special, and we're down, I think, 4 now after that, and for him, I was looking at Dan Bellino and saying, I don't know if he's going to take the current call, just because that's the type of guy he is. That we're down in the ninth inning there, but it's just exciting to be a part of. I think everyone, all of us in here, all of our families in here, it's just everyone's excited to be a part of this.
We made this point the other day that the home run is certainly the tantalizing eye candy, and you pay attention to it, and he's got 60, right? But don't miss the fact that with Bogaerts and Arise going 0 for 2 and 0 for 5 tonight, the name atop the batting average, home run, and RBI leads in the American League, the Triple Crown, all the same guy, Aaron Judge. Miguel Cabrera, the only other player to win the Triple Crown in the divisional era. As for the current MVP, Shohei Ohtani and the Angels in Texas to take on the Rangers, it's a very different vibe that surrounds the Angels, obviously, because they're not going to be part of the playoffs. Ohtani here with the one knock he had in the evening. Next batter's Taylor Ward, and he'll rip one down the line. And Ohtani, who can fly when it's required, is spinning around the bases and slides in safely as the Angels lead 3-2. Another look. Hit the deck. Taps it with his left hand. Angels up 5-2. Max Stassion up with runners on first and second. Josh Young there. Steps on third for one. Marcus Semien for number 2. Semien to first. And that's a 5-4-3 triple play. You don't see that every day. Angels, though, get the victory by a score of 5-2. Now, the Ohtani Judge back and forth, and I've seen it framed so many different ways. An interesting text that Jeff Passan put out the other day where he had like a blind taste test, and Ohtani's numbers as a position player compare very favorably to, say, a Mookie Betts, and his numbers as a pitcher compare very favorably to, say, a Scherzer. Well, but then you got Judge, who's got the 20-homer lead, and he might win the Triple Crown. Ohtani, the first player in Major League history to win 10 games and hit 30 homers in the same season, also a top 10 ERA. So anytime I'm looking for context and some reason when it comes to this sport, I turn to my friend Tim Kirchin. And Tim, this conversation that goes back and forth, Steve and I talked about it on the pod. I don't think there's a wrong way to view it. I just wonder, when you're trying to differentiate between that vote, who's the most valuable player? What are you considering?
Well, Scott, first off, if anyone votes for Shohei Ohtani, I'm not going to argue with that. When you have 34 homers and a 2.43 ERA and you're going to strike out 200 batters, of course, anyone who votes for him, it's okay with me. But I would vote for Aaron Judge for this reason. The word most valuable player to me, as a really old guy, means what did you do for your team to help you win games? I go way back to a time where it wasn't the player of the year, which it is now. It's the most valuable player. Where would the Yankees be without Aaron Judge? They would not be in first place in their division. I can tell you that. And they might not even be in the playoffs. That's how important he has been to the Yankees this season. So Ohtani is having another remarkable season, unprecedented season. But when somebody else on a contending team, a first-place team that is going to the playoffs, has a historic season like Aaron Judge is having, that's how I would determine this, is that historic season took his team, carried his team into the playoffs. That's the separator for me.
Again, the conversation Steve and I had on the pod, and Steve's like, his thing's always, where would you be without this guy? And even with Ohtani, the Angels, and it's not his fault, but they're obviously not a playoff team. They're fourth in the West, and Judge is going to have the Yankees very much in the mix here. They're going to win the American League East. And on a night like this where he gets to 60 and what that represents, you're always great with the context here. And sort of for you, that long list of numbers, in September he's been just ridiculous. But what's 60 represent in this era for you?
Well, just say the number again, Scott.
Yeah, 60.
I mean, I'm 10 years older than you, but we grew up at a time where 60 was an unbelievable number, and I believe it still is. Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Aaron Judge, history of the American League. Those are the only ones that have hit 60 home runs. And maybe just as important, Scott, the next guy in the league has 40. He's got 20 more homers than anybody else in the game. The last time that happened was Babe Ruth in 1928. So again, and then you add in the Triple Crown. You add that he's hitting the leadoff these days, that he has filled center field, and he has done this in so many ways to help carry his team. 60 is an enormous number. I think for some people, he clinched the AL MVP tonight by getting to 60. But he's got 15 games to go,
Exactly.
Scott. He might hit 66. It's just incredible. This is one of the greatest seasons I know I've ever seen, and I've covered baseball for 42 years.
Sold. Tim Kirkson, as always, it's the perspective and the context we appreciate, and remarkable that he and Babe Ruth are the guys that had that 20 home run lead. It always leads back to Babe, but the Yankee symmetry always is an amazing part of their incredible history. Tim, thanks so much for staying up with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Scott.
All right,